The sun had barely risen over Crestwood Town when Emily Carter zipped up her old leather jacket and glanced at the clock. It was 6:45 a.m. Her son, Ethan, was still tying his shoelaces in the corner, a sleepy smile on his face. "Mom, are we going to be late again?" he asked. Emily smiled softly, brushing his hair aside. "Not today, champ. We're starting fresh, remember." Her voice was calm, but behind her eyes lay years of quiet battles. Most people never guessed that this soft-spoken single mother was once a decorated Marine who had seen combat zones and survived hellish storms. Now, she fought quieter wars, paying bills, surviving gossip, and raising her 9-year-old son alone after her husband abandoned them when the deployment money ran out. The school parking lot was already filled with shiny SUVs and polished sedans when Emily's old blue pickup pulled up. Its muffler made a rough growl that made heads turn. Mothers in sunglasses whispered to one another as Emily stepped out, holding Ethan's hand. She was wearing simple jeans, her hair tied back in a tight ponytail, no makeup, no jewelry, just strength and humility. But in the eyes of the town's elite parents, she was the poor mom, the ex-soldier, and the charity case. As she walked Ethan to the entrance, two women leaned against their BMW smirking. "Look, it's the soldier mom again," one of them said loudly enough for Emily to hear. "Heard she works night shifts at the gas station now. Guess defending the country doesn't pay much, huh?" The other laughed, crossing her arms. Emily's jaw tightened, but she kept walking. Ethan looked up at her, confused. "Mom, why are they saying that?" She smiled and knelt beside him. "Because some people only see what's easy to mock, Ethan. But that's not who we are. You keep your head up." She kissed his forehead and pushed him gently toward the door. Inside the school hallway, the whispers didn't stop. A group of older boys had noticed Ethan's worn-out backpack and scuffed shoes. "Hey, soldier boy," one of them sneered. "Your mom teach you how to fight wars or just how to scrub floors?" The other kids laughed. Ethan tried to ignore them, but when one boy tugged at his backpack and spilled his notebooks, he froze. He wanted to fight back, but his mom always said to walk away first. So, he bent down, collected his books, and walked into class. The boys laughed behind him, calling him names. By lunchtime, the bullying had gotten worse. When Ethan opened his lunchbox, a simple sandwich and an apple, the same boys walked by and snatched it from his hand. "What's this?" "Combat rations." They threw the sandwich on the floor, stomping on it. Ethan's eyes filled with tears. He didn't say a word. He just turned away and sat quietly, clenching his fists under the table. Across the cafeteria, a few teachers saw it happen, but they didn't step in. It wasn't worth the trouble. When the final bell rang, Emily was waiting by the gate. She saw her son walking toward her, head down. "Rough day?" she asked softly. Ethan didn't answer. He just hugged her tightly. She felt the tremor in his little body and knew. "Talk to me, champ." His voice was small. "They called me names, said you're poor, said you only got strong 'cause you're angry." Emily's heart cracked. She looked at his tear-streaked face and smiled faintly. Let them talk. People fear what they don't understand. But inside, something deep in her, something trained, something powerful, started to stir again. That evening, Emily stopped by the grocery store to buy milk and bread. The same two mothers from the morning were there, laughing near the counter. One of them bumped into her on purpose, spilling her small bag of apples. "Oops, sorry," she said mockingly. "Wish you Marines are supposed to be tough. You can handle it, right?" Emily didn't respond. She calmly picked up each apple and placed them back in the bag. The cashier, a young man, looked awkward, unsure whether to step in. "You okay?" "Ma'am," he whispered. Emily gave him a steady look. "I'm fine. Some battles aren't worth fighting." But her eyes, sharp and focused, said something else entirely. Later that night, Ethan was asleep. Emily sat alone in their small living room, staring at an old wooden box on the shelf. She hadn't opened it in years. Inside were her Marine medals, her combat knife, and a photo of her platoon. She touched the edges of the photo gently. Those were the days when she commanded respect, when her voice carried weight, when people looked her in the eye. Now they saw her as just a mom. She exhaled slowly. "They'll learn," she murmured under her breath. "One way or another, they'll learn." The next day, the bullying escalated. The boys surrounded Ethan near the playground. One shoved him to the ground, another kicked dirt on his shirt. "Go cry to your soldier, mommy!" They laughed. One of the teachers saw again, but turned away. And this time one of the mothers, the same woman from the BMW, was nearby watching, smirking proudly as her son humiliated Ethan. "Teach that kid his place," she whispered. Her laughter echoed across the playground. But she didn't know Emily was there too, standing just behind the fence, watching every cruel second. Her hands clenched tightly on the fence bars. Her heart pounded, not with fear, but with something far older, something the Marines had drilled into her soul: calm, controlled fury. She waited until the bell rang and the crowd dispersed. Then she walked straight toward the principal's office. Principal Harris, a wary man in his 50s, looked uncomfortable when Emily entered. "Mrs. Carter, we've received some complaints about your son." Emily raised an eyebrow. "Complaints? My son is the one getting attacked." Harris sighed. "I understand, but kids will be kids. It's best not to overreact." That word, overreact, hung in the air like a slap. Emily leaned forward, her voice low but firm. "You have no idea what I'm capable of when my child's safety is on the line. I served this country to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. I will not stand by while grown adults laugh as their children torment mine. You have one day to fix this, or I will." Her tone left no room for argument. Harris just nodded silently. Emily left the office, her boots clicking hard against the tile floor. Outside, the same mothers were waiting, pretending to chat. One of them snickered. "Oh, the tough Marine's gonna cry to the principal now." Emily didn't respond. She simply looked at them. One long, cold stare that made them fall silent for a moment. Then she walked away. That night she trained again for the first time in years. In the small backyard behind their house, she moved like a shadow, barefoot, focused, fluid. Each strike against the old punching bag echoed with repressed anger. The neighbors probably thought it was thunder. Her breathing was steady, her stance solid. She wasn't doing it for revenge. Not yet. But to remember who she was. Ethan peeked through the window, his eyes wide. "Mom," he whispered. She turned and smiled gently. "Just staying in shape, champ." But the next day the bullies went too far. During recess, the boys cornered Ethan near the swings. They started chanting, "Soldier boy! Soldier boy!" Before one of them threw his lunchbox into the mud, the rest joined in, laughing cruelly. Ethan's eyes burned with humiliation. He tried to grab his lunchbox, but one boy tripped him. He fell face first into the mud as everyone laughed. The sound of that laughter would haunt Emily for the rest of her life. Because when she arrived early that day to surprise him with a packed lunch, she saw everything. She stood frozen for a moment. The laughter, the pointing fingers, her son's trembling body. All of it hit her like a wave of betrayal and fury. Then something inside her broke open. She stepped forward, calm and steady. The bullies didn't see her at first, but when they did, their laughter died instantly. Her expression was terrifyingly calm, her posture upright, disciplined, and unmistakably military. "Ethan," she said softly, "get up, sweetheart." He obeyed, still shaking. She helped him wipe the mud from his face. Then she turned her gaze on the group of kids, and the parents who were pretending not to notice. Her voice was quiet, but carried across the entire yard. "Who's responsible for this?" No one spoke. Even the teachers looked away. The silence was deafening. Emily's eyes flickered between the children and the adults. Her voice dropped lower, steel in every word. "I've spent years defending children in war zones who never had a chance to grow up. I will not stand by while this happens in front of me. Not one more day." Then she took Ethan's hand and walked away. The crowd parted silently. No one dared say another word. That night, as Emily tucked Ethan into bed, he whispered, "Mom, are you mad?" She brushed his cheek and smiled sadly. "No, baby, just disappointed." She stood by the window long after he fell asleep, staring out into the night. The street was quiet, but in her heart the storm had begun. Tomorrow they would see who they were laughing at.